everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. We are in 1.0.5 and having just lost Jeb to a space plane crash pretty much 100 feet from the runway. We're going to do some rocketry stuff. We completed a couple missions though. So, ferry 2 tourists. I think we have the parts for that. Do we have the parts for that? No. We don't have the parts for any tourist contracts. That's a bummer. So let's find a couple contracts for us to do. The ask is to orbit Kerbal. And we can do any one of these. Here we go. A focus observational survey above 18,800 meters. So this is actually one that we can do sort of on re-entry. Everything else is stuff that I'm not terribly interested in. I can decline the contracts if I really want to. But doing so incurs a little bit of a reputation penalty. Logan, R.I.P. Jeb Kerman, 2011 to 2015. Yep. So let's take a look at this tracking station to see where this zone is that we need to do. There it is. X0XC3. So when we come back for re-entry, we just need to make sure that we're crossing over this zone and take a crew report on our way down. That should be simple enough to handle. We are building our first orbiting rocket. And since we're still using the Mark 1 command pod, this is going to be the Goliath mission. Goliath Mark 3. Utility, structural. And utility parachute. That takes care of that. Now we want to get some science along the way. So, Science Junior. Service bay, open it up. I don't think there are any new places for me to do mystery group, but there are a couple new places for me to do temperature scans. We'll set ourselves up with 3 temperature scans for this mission. Fuel tanks. All right. So to reach orbit, we need more fuel than we had before. I'm going to grab 6 of these guys. 6 of these guys. Go to our engines, and we can put on the swivel engine. And some pretty decent sized fins. For some good stability. Now, we need 2 sets of these guys for our ground stage. Aerodynamics. And I believe, excuse me, no we don't have it. Okay, that's right. Alright, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to get these stages separated out. These ones will go first at 100% thrust. These ones are only going to kick in at 75% thrust or so. As soon as these ones go away. I'll bring down the main engine just in case I want to turn it on. And then separate off those guys separately. Have this decoupler for when we're ready to do that, and then the parachute for reentry. Now we're pretty much at the limits of what this capsule, if we actually reach orbit around Kerbal, we're more or less at the limits of what this capsule can realistically do as far as reentry without adding an additional heat shield. So, but that gives us a lot more weight that we don't want to deal with right now. But this should be sufficient to reach orbit, maneuver a little bit to get us over that landing zone, and then do the crew report on the way down for that observation. Oh, it's giving me some crap. I have one too many parts, and I'm also too heavy. I'm going to save this. I know what to do about the part situation. We'll just grab 2 thermometers instead of 3. But in order for us to fix the weight of this thing, we need to go and upgrade something. So here's another building upgrade we need to take care of. Go ahead and spend the 90,000 funds to upgrade the launch pad. Is there anything else I want to upgrade particularly? Not just yet. Not just yet. So with that, we've built our rocket that's pretty much ready to go. As we get into future episodes and these builds become longer and longer, I'll probably separate the builds out into special features. Or, actually more accurately, oh, no. What I'll do is I'll probably do the builds in the live stream only, and then do the episodes, kind of give you a tour of what was done. So, I lost my pilot. We're going to grab Valentina. She's a better pilot than Jeb anyway, in my opinion. Whenever I've played this game, I've always had more luck with her. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about efficient ascent profiles. In order to actually get into orbit with a craft like this, we need to have a fairly it's kind of forgiving, but we do need to have a somewhat forgiving launch, or somewhat efficient launch to actually reach orbit and be able to do all the things that we want to do. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kick off the initial engines, get myself tilted slightly about 5 degrees off the horizon, and then turn off the SAS. These stabilizing fins that I have here will do the job of keeping me pointed into the wind. And then I'm going to use the other stage at 75% throttle and the main engine, and I'm going to use the throttle on that to sort of control how quickly I'm getting up out of the atmosphere. What I want to do, if I go to my map, is I want to allow my rocket to sort of get some altitude, but then head over this way. The quicker I can get to tipping over sideways, the more efficient it'll be to an extent. If I tip over too quickly, then I stay in the lower atmosphere too long, and I end up having a lot of atmospheric drag. So I don't want that. I'm going to turn SAS on with the T key, tap the space bar, and we are up and on our way. So immediately this rocket is fighting me. We'll be able to fix our trajectory. Ugh. Maybe. These fins are brutal. I'm going to go ahead and go with low throttle and turn on the swivel. And the reason I'm turning the swivel on... Oh. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put the main engine in there. Just revert that and try it again. So I'm going to use the swivel to help me with this launch. Since it has gimbaling, it can sort of tip around a little bit. Basically, the swivel engine will allow us to have better control of the rocket. Okay, we're good. Let's go ahead and tip over to the sort of the angle that I want here, like so. And Just a little bit of correction here and there. Next stage goes. Okay, we can turn the swivel off and just let our booster do their thing. Turn SAS off. Air resistance is now pulling on us just like it should. The rest of our corrections we can do with a little bit of battery power, which is fine. Add a little bit of swivel thrust for the transition, and the last stage is off. Let me go ahead and pull us this way just to get us on a better course. Oop. Okay. Valentina should be able to keep us facing this direction pretty well now. Let's go over to map. And we can see as our apoapsis climbs, we can actually throttle back. Now that we're in the upper part of the atmosphere where things are nice and there's not much atmospheric drag. Flip our nav ball over to orbit mode and really get this thing moving. Facing that way. And we are on our way to orbit. So orbit happens above when our periapsis and apoapsis are above 70,000 meters. The apoapsis is the highest point in your orbit. The periapsis is the lowest point, and right now it's underground. So we're just going to coast up here to the apoapsis. And then when we get much closer, we'll turn the rocket motor on again to fly sideways, just like a cannonball being shot out of a cannon on a very tall mountain. With enough gunpowder, that thing would orbit the Earth. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Getting to this point, aiming sideways, firing the rocket engine so we get more and more horizontal speed until the curvature of the Earth falls away just as fast as we fly over it. In space. Just gotta wait for this point to come up here. We get closer and closer. It's probably pretty good. Turn the engines on full. So now if you watch, you can see our line sort of gets longer and longer. Keep going this way and we will eventually be in orbit. I do need to face that way a smidge just to sort of counteract the force of gravity. Just the tiniest little bit. Okay, we're really pushing now. So I am going to turn the throttle down. Bingo. So these things kind of flipped around. The apoapsis is now 77 kilometers or higher, 75 kilometers or higher there. We are officially in orbit, as recorded by the World's First Milestones Society. And we've completed this contract of orbiting Kerbal. So now that we're in orbit, let's go ahead and grab one of these temperature scans. Keep that. Now, our first orbital mission is really useful, especially since we've upgraded our base to allow us to do EVAs. So this is our opportunity to grab a whole bunch of science. We get an EVA report above every new land feature that we think is interesting. So here's an EVA report above water. We already have that one. So there's no point in grabbing that one again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on Kerbal and just watch the map. And as I get over, well, let's try getting over this little piece of land sticking out here. Zoom back in. EVA report. Right click on my guy, EVA report. This is over Kerbin's grasslands, so that's a new place that we haven't seen before. We'll do it again over here. It's a little bit dark to see in orbit right now, but there we go. About like that. EVA. Report. This is once again the grasslands. That's okay. We'll board anyway. I want to see what this land feature is. It has a little bit different coloration. It might be kind of hard to see on YouTube. Well, you see here. Oh, that's not too bad. But we'll check this to see if there's a different place. EVA. This is the Highlands, which is a new place for us. We might be able to catch the edge of these mountains. Get an EVA report here. This is the grasslands. All right. Oh yeah, we're going to fly right over this mountain range here. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And EVA report over the mountains. Yes, thank you. Then let's get over this desert. Oh wait, what's this area? This grassy area. It might be the grasslands again. It's the Highlands. I think I have the Highlands. Yes, I do. This might qualify as the desert, which would be nice. So we're basically doing orbital visual, that's grasslands. Orbital visual observations of Kerbin. Not a crew report, an EVA report. And there's the deserts. So every time we get this, every time we get one of these new situations that we haven't been before, we get more science. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to align my trajectory with this thing. So I need to face north. That's south. That's the wrong way. I'm going to face north. And apply some thrust until this line is crossing over the bottom of this tip. Just like that. Now we face retrograde. That's prograde. So we'll just keep flipping around until we get to retrograde. And we're going to get ourselves set up for re-entry. And as we're re-entering, we'll fly over this location, do a crew report, and complete that mission. Okay. So as I'm thrusting, I'm watching my periapsis. I want to get my periapsis, in this case, since I'm in low orbit, I want to get my periapsis down to about 30 kilometers. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and send it down even deeper. I'm going to send this down to 10 kilometers so they get my re-entry interface basically happening closer along this line. And then we can get that crew report done. So we've done all the scientific experiments that we can do in space. It's just a matter of fast forwarding time until we hit the atmosphere at this point. Oh, wait. Before I do that, hang on. I do want to let go and grab this here data. Log the temperature. Can only be externally controlled by a scientist. All right, that's fine. We'll go around the other one. Up, up. You can hear my daughter playing in the background. I don't want to log the temperature. I want to grab the data. There we go. Okay, so now we have that data. Just going to get ourselves on board again. And we should now be ready for re-entry. Get this flipped around. Ditch all that rocket that we no longer need. Get facing retrograde, and then let gravity and the atmosphere do the rest. I should sit up. Getting lazy. Okay. So here we've got it. We are now at the upper part of the atmosphere, re-entering. So we'll go ahead and fast forward time. This is a physics fast forward, so we're still gaining speed because gravity has more impact on our spaceship than the atmosphere does right now. Sigful's Gap. Should be coming up on it any second. There it is. Crew report. And that completes that contract for 15,000 funds. Now it's just a matter of waiting for our craft to come down safely. So we'll go ahead and fast forward time until we see our re-entry interface occurring. We have a view of the land passing by in the window. There's re-entry. There's the view of the window. So now we're slowing down. The atmosphere is hitting the brakes. And this is about as high and as fast as we would ever want to go without actually adding an additional heat shield to our spacecraft. I mean, as you can see, this thing's glowing red already. The skin of our craft is actually lighting up. There goes our booster stage is exploding up there. And we are definitely heating up, as we can see by this temperature gauge. Things are getting overly hot. Yeah, our booster stage completely destroyed itself in the atmosphere. The brakes are on now. We're getting about 1 solid G of deceleration right now. 1.5 Gs. 2 Gs of deceleration. We're through the worst of it. Our craft is actually starting to... The atmosphere is blowing by slowly enough where it's able to carry away some of the heat. And here we go. We've slowed down. Now I just need to wait for the magic time for me to deploy my parachute. There we go. The drogue is out. There's the mun. At 1,000 feet, the parachute is going to deploy and begin slowing us down once again. There we go. And we can fast forward until we get onto the actual ground. A 100 meters, 50 meters, 30, 20, 10, and splashdown. World's first milestones, we were returned to the surface from orbit for 28,000 funds. Let's go ahead and recover our vessel. And see how we did and wrap up our episode here. Oh, wow. Okay, we now have 110 science that we've gained from all that. Got a little bit of funds back from the parts. Valentina is now level 1, which means she has some new autopilot options available in future episodes. So we'll be looking at additional contracts. Let's go ahead and warp to next morning. And while we do that, the sun rises over Kerbal Space Program's Kerbal Space Center. We're going to wrap up episode 3 here. Thanks for tuning into the episodes. If you're watching live, stick around. If you want to tune in live, I'm doing Kerbal Space Program every Tuesday at 6 p.m. for my new show called Trajectory Tuesdays. Took a little break from KSP in between versions, but now that 1.0.5 is out and the contracts have been cleaned up a bit, I want to check them out, so that's kind of the plan. Until next time, I will say once again, keep flying and stay shiny. Goodbye!